Nah, bitch. Don't try to have no pity party for yourself now. I tried to get you to buy the products all last year. I talked to you all summer. I got on you before Thanksgiving and I damn sure talked to you Christmas. Now it's the start of the year. You want to do your New Year's resolution. You want to go to the gym. Because I'm going to lose this weight. Girl, don't nobody want to hear that shit. Anyway, if you're really serious about it, drop down in the description box. Click the link and get you some of this detox tea, this NutriBurst, some of these energy pills to kickstart your New Year's resolutions if you're really serious about it. Bye. Y'all, this video is going to be real different because this has been on my spirit for the last 2 days. I've just been sitting in bed, tossing and turning, and I'm actually getting ready to go to the gym shortly. And I was like, should I do this after the gym? But I had to get out of bed and I had to come get on this camera now. My spirit has been bothered ever since I seen, I don't know if it's the last live, but it's definitely one of the lives that Shekinah did, and she was crying for about 40 minutes in reference to her relationship with T.I. and Tiny and Sabrina and all the things that they were going through. And what I saw was a young lady who was just hurt at her core. And it made me want to talk about choosing your friends wisely, going where you were loved, and being in equally yoked relationships with people. Want to talk about it? Here it goes. That's a girl. I saw a video the other night with Shekinah, and she was talking about her relationship with T.I. and Tiny and Sabrina and the whole situation. And let me just stop y'all right here, because if y'all think that this is going to be a video about me delving into the business of T.I. and Tiny and Shekinah and who was right and who was wrong and who did what and who shouldn't have said what and who came up off of who, so on and so forth, you might as well turn this off, because quite frankly, I'm not concerned about none of that. This is my first video of 2022, and I'm actually happy to do it because y'all can already tell for the longest while, after 11 or 12 years of doing this reality TV stuff, I've been telling y'all for the longest I'm bored with it. And I finally found my new direction, and it's definitely one of moving into a direction of more self-help, positivity. You know, y'all have been bothering me about you need the Ariana Curry and Tasha K video. Y'all, I just don't care about that shit anymore. I really don't. So I know that that's what a lot of y'all tune in for. It's been a great ride for those of y'all that have come for that, but I'm here to let you know that I am doing a very hard pivot. So if you choose to exit stage left, sayonara, and it's been great, and I can help refer you to some people who can give you the things that you like. But this video, when I saw Shekinah, regardless of who was right, who was wrong, whose fault it is, my heart wept for her. Because what I saw was a young lady who was hurt to her core. That there was a friend, meaning Tiny, and a clique, meaning, you know, everybody around Tiny, where this girl thought that she was loved, where this girl wanted to be, where this girl felt she belonged. And then when it was all said and done, all of those thoughts, feelings, and emotions brought her a lot of hurt. So this brings me to my first talking point. When I look at that relationship, I feel as if it was a need-based relationship that went both ways. I always question people who are in friendships or romantic relationships that don't appear to be equally yoked. Now, I think it's one thing for this to be your childhood friend Y'all grew up together. Y'all know everything about one another. And then one person goes on to be rich and successful, and you bring this person along for the ride. Prime examples of that would be Rihanna and her best friend, Beyonce and her cousin, a few other people out there that I can't think of right now. Tiny and Shekinah's relationship started out with Tiny meeting her as a hairdresser, as somebody in a support role, and they went on to become friends. Now let's analyze that for a minute. On the surface, we obviously see what benefit Shekinah gets out of it, right? I've got this celebrity client. She's taking me places I've never been before. She can expose me to higher end clients. I'm getting TV shows. I'm riding in cars I've never ridden in before. I'm going to parties I've never gone to before. And so I 100% get down with Shekinah's incentive and motivation for wanting to be Tiny's friend. The gimme gotcha is, what did Tiny get out of being her friend? This girl can't shop where you shop. She can't spend how you spend. She can't drive how you drive. She can't go where you go. She can't live how you live. She doesn't have access to the things or people you have access to. She has no industry connections. What can she do for you? So one has to then ask, what was Tiny getting out of this relationship, right? And again, this is not necessarily about Shekinah and Tiny. I want to take this and transcend it to us in everyday life. When you've got somebody who is so much more further ahead in life, and they befriend somebody who's on a different plateau, you've got to look at that. You've got to look at that. And you've got to ask yourself, what does this person who's living in this mansion with 3 Benzes, 4 Hummers, 2 Maybachs, and a 7 Series in their yard want with me pulling up in my Honda Accord or my Nissan Maxima? And it's not to make this all about shallow things and superficial things, but we're not going to pretend like the shallow and the superficial things do not have a direct correlation to success, status, and where people are in life. They all kind of go hand in hand. From a self-esteem perspective, she needed a flunky. She needed a flunky. And Shekinah served that purpose. And so it was a symbiotic relationship where 2 people were both getting what they needed or what they wanted. Tiny needed a flunky, self-esteem reasons, whatever it is she was going through in her life. And Shekinah did not mind being a flunky, self-esteem reasons, for whatever it is she was going through in her life. It was an unequally yoked friendship. So then here's what happens. You're not my friend, you're not my hairdresser, but you providing a service for me. You know what I'm saying? You giving me a good, my home life may or may not be miserable. My business life may or not be miserable. So I'm using you as an outlet. I'm using you for a good kiki. You a good kiki. You a good time. I'm taking you out to eat. I'm flying you places. I'm taking you with me to shop to hold my bags. So of course, in return, I'm going to do your hair for free. I'm going to provide whatever service I can for you for free because I feel so appreciative for all these things that you have done for me and that you were doing for me, or whatever the case may be. But in the end, it only serves to bite you in the ass, because when you feel taken advantage of, the first thing you screamed of is all the shit I've done for you for free. So here's the cautionary tale in all of this that I really want to talk to y'all about. You gotta go where you're loved, number one. You've gotta go where you're celebrated and not tolerated. you got to also understand that how people around your so-called friend treat you is a reflection of how your so-called friend feels about you. Let me say that again. You gotta understand that how people around your so-called friend treat you is a reflection of how your so-called friend feels about you. Case in point. Shekinah made reference to the countless amounts of times that T.I. disrespected her, talked to her any kind of way, made her feel less than, cursed her out. He only did that because Tiny subconsciously and or consciously gave him license to do so. We've seen Tiny's mama, and we've seen where Tiny comes from. Tiny mama ain't one shuckling, ain't one widget above Shekinah, but I bet you T.I. don't go around there talking to Miss Diane like that. Why? Because Tiny has let it be known that there will be consequences and repercussions for you talking to my mama like that. I bet you T.I. don't go around there talking to her other family members like that or her cousins like that. But T.I. was able to talk to Shekinah like that because he's talked about her like that behind closed doors, and Tiny didn't check it. Because T.I.'s sentiments were a direct reflection of how Tiny ultimately felt about Shekinah when it was all said and done. So again, let's apply this to our real life situation. You friends with your homegirl, but your homegirl boyfriend talk to you any kind of way. You need to check that bitch. Because I can assure you she's sitting in the bed co-signing them same sentiments with that Negro. Now, for those of us who have friends who are at higher stations in life, here's how you know if you have a real one. Ask yourself, does Barbara treat me the same way that she treats Jessica when Jessica come around? And Jessica is the friend that can do all the things that Barbara can do and then some. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to realize the answer is probably no. Here is why, or part of the reason why. You got me, you, and Jessica at the table. I'm broke. I can't do as much. I'm not as cool. I'm not as popular. But you got Barbara and Jessica. They're at the table. They got it going on. We talking about how next month we want to go to Dubai. You ain't got it. So what happens? Either we go without you, which can be misconstrued one way, or I got to pay for you to go. At the point in which I have to pay for you to go, you do become the help. There's an unequal power dynamic in this friendship now. You do become the help. And whether you believe it or not, you now are indebted to me on some level or another. So what do again? You do some more free hair. You do some babysitting. You run errands. You hold bags. You unpack luggage. Because in your mind, you feel like you have to do something to repay this person back. Now, I am not by any means suggesting that because one friend got money and the other friend don't, does not mean that they can't be friends, that means that they cannot come around, because you should seek to be around people who have more than you so you can elevate. But you got to know your place at all times, and you got to earn your spot. You've got to know your place, and you have got to earn your spot. And I think oftentimes what happens is our esteem leaves us in a place where we so happy to be here, we so happy to be around said folks that we lose ourselves. And then when said people have no purpose for you anymore and they move on and begin to show their true colors, you're the one left hurt. I can assure you, Tiny is not home losing no sleep. Tiny is not the one home hurt. Tiny was fine just as long as she had Shekinah in a subservient position and Shekinah was there to do her quote unquote dirty work or to be her mouthpiece, so on and so forth. Soon as the grease got hot, soon as Shekinah slipped up and said one thing too many that implicated T.I. and Tiny in that mess, what happened? She disposed of her because she was disposable. Why does this ring or resonate with me so much? Because I've been in that position before. I have been in a position before where I had been so happy to just be friends with somebody that I used to let this person and these people just treat me any kind of old way. I would find out that they went out to eat and went different places, didn't invite me. And the gag is, in my particular situation, there wasn't even no money disparity. Quiet as it's kept, baby. I had the same they had, if not more. You know what I'm saying? But they had more popularity than me. They were cooler than me or whatever. And I'm talking, you know, high school, college era, early 20s. I'm not talking anything recent or whatever. But it resonated with me. And again, I look at these relationships, you know, case in point, the Quad and Mariah relationship on Married to Medicine. You know what I'm saying? That relationship was predicated on one being lesser than the other. Just as long as Quad was lesser than Mariah, that was okay. You know what I'm saying? But the minute things became to level out, it became a problem. And not to call one person a hater or anything like that, because let's be very clear here. That's not what I'm calling Mariah. But what I'm saying is, in that particular situation, that just wasn't the relationship she signed up for. I signed up for the relationship of me being here and you being here, and I don't want this. Same thing with Portia and Cordell. When Portia and Cordell got together, Cordell signed up for a relationship where he had a subservient dodo brain that would do any and everything he said. The minute Portia got on that camera and gained a little bit of independence, things got comfortable for Cordell, because that was not the relationship he signed up for. So oftentimes, Georgie! Oftentimes what we consider to be hateration sometimes is not even hateration, it's discomfort. And people do have the right to back out of friendships if they say this is not the relationship that they signed up for and this is not the relationship that I want. It may sound messed up, but they say the relationship that I want is you being down here and me being up here, but you don't know what the reasons is that the person may need you to be here and then be here. Anytime you're in a relationship where you require somebody to be less than you in order for you to feel whole, that's an esteem issue. That's a broken person. I look at relationships all the time. Me and a friend were having a conversation the other day about Tamar and Nene being friends with Alvin. Alvin, who was Trina's older sister from Love and Hip Hop Miami. What in the hell do Tamar and Nene got in common with Alvin? Alvin just got caught on closed circuit TV stealing a package from the U.S. Postal Service from the jewelry man down in the Design District the other week. What is him and Nene and Tamar sitting on the phone talking about? He can't shop where they shop, can't drive where they drive, can't fly how they fly, don't have access to what they have access to. So why are they friends? Somebody's being used and somebody's getting something out of the situation. So I say this to say all of this, y'all. In 2022, what we not going to do is be fools for friends. One thing that this life has taught me is that Every time something has gone wrong in my life, in a relationship, when I took a moment and paused, I always end up beating myself up about it because I'm like, you knew. You knew. Every time that friend said something that felt like shade, but you just sucked it up because that's your friend, you knew. Every time that friend, you popped on social media and you see they at the club or they at this person's place and you didn't get invited, you knew. Every time her dude or his girl talked to you crazy, you knew. Every time they called you when their other friends wasn't around, but as soon as those friends came back around, you didn't get the phone calls no more, you knew. Every time they went to the hospital and sat with that friend, but when you was in the hospital and they didn't come sit with you, you knew. Every time they went out of their way to get their kids a birthday gift or get them a present, but they didn't get you one, you knew. Every time they mentioned to you, oh, they needed something and you just sprung into action, but you vented to them about being stressed out and they didn't spring into action, you knew. Every time you sat on the phone and they rattled off all their issues about their man, about what they going through, but never once asked you about your dating life or how you doing or how your relationship is, you knew. So what you got to do in this situation is put your big boy panties on, put your big girl panties on, and be courageous enough to look into the mirror and ask yourself, what is it about me that is fundamentally flawed and or broken at my core that keeps me in this relationship? Because one thing that Ian Levans had taught us was that even when we do things that are, even when we continuously do things that are detrimental to our health, they serve some purpose. You got to figure out what that reason is. You got to confront it. And you got to heal that up. And that will keep you from being in situations where people will use you up and you end up being hurt, battered, and abused. And I'm telling you, as somebody who's been on that side of the line before where Shekinah is, and being where I am right now in healthy relationships, it takes a strong sense of self. And a strong sense of self really is the answer to everything. Like once you know who you are, you can then ascertain what you're about, what you're not about. You can set healthy and proper boundaries. And it allows you to be in seamless, easy relationships. I always tell people this: relationships are not hard. Friendships are not difficult. They do not require work. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. I'm not going to speak on marriage because I'm not in one. Relationships, loving relationships don't require work. It ain't hard to love somebody that you love. It's not hard to treat somebody right that you love. It's not hard to be honest with somebody that you love. Love don't hurt. Love don't lie. Love is gentle. Love is not abusive. It's not that hard. So if you are feeling doubt, doubt means don't. Reevaluate that shit and just remember these words. Love ain't hard. Hope this helps somebody. I'm finna get in here to get my old frowsy ass to the gym. I ain't been to the gym in a minute. And y'all start purging them friendships and deleting some of the numbers out of them phones. And I'll call y'all later. Bye.